And we're now giving away an S19, a Canon Avalon Nano S3, BitX Gamma 601, and also a SafePal S1 Pro hardware wallet. So Lior's going around passing tickets out, so just hold on to those until the end. But let's go through the jobs real quick. So Compass, how'd that get in there? Who put that there? We have 2 openings right now, data center technician in McAlester, Oklahoma, and then a warehouse technician here in Denver. Our warehouse is literally like 10 minutes over there. And if you have any questions about the role, feel free to find me after. If you want to get into mining, this is a great entry-level role for you. And several of our partners and employees are here, so we'd be more than happy to tell you all about it. But like I said, great intro to mining if you're wanting to get into it. Canaan is also looking for a mining operations manager. And I don't know if this was a specific, it says remote, but I don't know if that was, I don't know if they're doing remote operations or not, but it's a more higher level job posting, but if you have experience and want to look into it, go right ahead. And then we also have another mining operations technician in Washington, Georgia from CleanSpark. That is a publicly traded mining company, and they have operations all over the country, and they are looking for a technician to do some day-to-day stuff in Georgia. So if y'all have any questions about those openings, feel free to hit me up afterward, or Curtis. He's really big on getting people into jobs in the Bitcoin world, and honestly, getting a Bitcoin job was the greatest decision I've ever made. So let's get into it, and let's get to know our guest here. I, of course, am Tatum. I'm the large-scale project lead at Compass Mining. Follow me on Twitter. Tatum turn up on literally anything. And then our guest is the Hobbyist Miner. He is a YouTuber, content creator, and of course, a hobbyist miner. And there's his website. He's got I wanted to put his socials, but that was pretty centralized of everything, so it's good landing page.
I appreciate it.
But tell us a bit about yourself. Who is the Hobbyist Miner?
Sure. So I started out like everyone does in the mining industry of not knowing anything. And that was really the world that I came into, and I went to YouTube to try and learn. And so about 5 years ago, that's where I started my journey, and I didn't really have any YouTube background at all, and was like, all right, well, let's go ahead and try to learn this. So I literally started with an iPhone 6 SE and literally recorded everything I was doing. So I was like, I don't know how to build a GPU mining rig, and that was really big back when I started. And so I documented it. And it caught on very quickly because a lot of people kind of connected with me on like, I don't know anything either. And so it really worked out really, really well for me. And so I started in that world, documenting it and taking off. And in my first 3 months, I had 5,000 subscribers on YouTube, which was really weird because I didn't know what I was doing. And
you're doing it right, though.
Apparently. And since then, my journey has taken me all over the place. And I've grown my channel. I've gone from GPU mining into ASIC mining, and now I work with Compass in a marketing capacity to help market a lot of the locations and sites and services they do, and travel all over the place, and I still document my journey. So like today was doing some recording over at their facility not far from here as well, and yeah, just bring my audience along for the ride. So I've played with everything, GPUs, CPUs, FPGAs, ASICs, and dabbling into a little bit of AI as well.
Yeah, Hobbyist is, I really like the videos that he's done for us so far. It's like a different view that people don't see from the mining world. And if you have never been to a facility, check out his channel for sure. He gives a really good in-depth breakdown and walkthrough of a couple of our facilities. And I'm excited to see the footage that we got today too, over at the service center. So I want to start out just asking, no direction whatsoever, what is Bitcoin mining to you?
So Bitcoin mining to me is an alternative income stream. That's like the first thing I look at. You know, what I tell people is, I'm not into this for charity. You know, it's too expensive for sure, especially as a home miner and as you start to scale. But in addition to that, it's the decentralization piece that breaks away from traditional government, from too many hands in the pot, and that's a big one that sticks out to me just based off of the way the economy has gone in the U.S. It's very much screams to me of like, hey, there's no control over here, and I'd love to see that, and I want to be a part of that.
Absolutely. And I know that you mentioned that you kind of got into the YouTube game with your iPhone, just filming everything you did and wanted to learn how to build a GPU rig. But how did you get into building that GPU rig? Like, where did the mining really grab you?
Yeah, so at that time, just like all of you, there's a few we were talking about this earlier, we go to YouTube for everything now. Anytime you want to know how to do anything, it's on YouTube. And that was no different when I got started. But it wasn't as big as where it is now in mining, where there's a lot of YouTube channels out there now. There's a lot of tutorials that you can follow. And I do a ton of educational videos on my channel teaching how to set things up, how to do those things. But that's really, looking at it, that's really where things came from. And when I first got started, I even remember it, my first GPU mining rig, anyone who knows GPUs or hardware, was like a GTX 970 from years ago, and I bought it for $100. It was an MSI off of eBay, got it in, and it was the coolest feeling in the world to plug it in. And at that point, I was earning Raven coin with it, which is an altcoin. Looking at Shannon over there, and yeah, that's right.
Y'all are in for a surprise the rest of the program.
But the coolest thing in the world was the first time, and I think everyone can think of this themselves, is the first time you mined something and you saw it hit your wallet. And it was like, wait, I generated that magic internet money. I made that with this rig. And so that was the thing that I always remember from like my first week was like, oh, that is awesome. And I've been hooked since then.
I remember when I started mining, I was mining on Slush Pool, and that was when they were still doing PPLNS. And so like I plugged in an S9, and I was just watching that graph. I'm like, there's going to be a block somewhere. And of course, when you're looking, it doesn't happen. So I was staring at the screen for 3 days.
I still have an S9 running.
Good, as you should.
It is not at 1,200 watts, but it's still running.
It's perfect. Well, yeah, thank you for that. That's a great insight into how you got started. I wasn't around for the GPU days. I definitely did some historical research, but several people in the audience I know have been mining since those days, and I always have a little respect for GPU rigs. They just look super cool. Like, it's awesome. So you do a little bit of hosting, and you also mine at home on a bunch of different scales. We see you got your bit axes here and your a few USB miners, but also in another slide, you have the actual bigger machines. What is the best part about mining at home versus any other array that you may mine with?
Yeah, so starting out as where I did, and then growing into full-size ASIC miners as to what you're referring to, you learn as you go. There's not really a manual. There's no blueprints out there, especially as a home miner trying to manage heat or deal with high electric costs. There's no blueprint. Like, you're just forced to figure it out yourself. And so as a home tinkerer, I love that stuff, right? I love figuring it out. I'm not, a tradesman in any way in carpentry or anything like that, or HVAC when it comes down to heat management, but I very much just learn from my mistakes. And part of even that with YouTube is like I've documented it. Like, I tried to build a room in my basement to handle all the heat. It was a $5,000 mistake. I killed my furnace in my house. That was a $9,000 mistake.
There's something so respectable about documenting your mistakes, though. Because, I mean, like, if I'm looking up a video on how to set up 240-volt power in my house, which don't look that up and do it yourself, please. But, like,
I did it, so it's okay.
All right. But, like, people are going to...
how I killed the furnace was I was not bringing any intake, just pulling from my home.
Oh, yeah, we talked about
and
this
I was
last
exhausting the heat out through a grow tent. I went a grow tent route. If you guys aren't familiar, there's a whole world of building out as plastic grow tent that's usually used for grow, and tried that and exhausted it. And yeah, I was starving the furnace for any airflow. My doors, the whistles under the doors. The vents were sweating in the house. Yeah, my wife loves me, by the way. 16 years married. But but going back to your question there, it's like I've done it all at home, and it's a great way to do it. But I've also done the hosting side as well. I host with 4 different companies all over the US. Several of my units are actually with Compass in Nebraska as well. And there's pros and cons. It just depends on where you want to be involved. If you want to be in the trenches making mistakes, because you absolutely will, then do it at home. If not, like, hey, you can still be involved and host, and that's exactly what I do.
Hello, God? Sweet. Yeah, we actually figured out some of my machines are being hosted at the same facility as his, so I'm going to hit up the site techs and see if we can be
We're neighbors.
Yeah, see if we can move that around. Like I said, it's so respectable to document your failures, because if you're looking up a YouTube video and everyone gets from point A to point B perfectly, well, okay, if you screw up a little bit, like, do I need to start all the way over? What happens if this happens? And so people that show them trying to do a project and showing the failures, very respectable. So thank you for giving that insight, because like you said, there's no manuals. You can go, like, one thing that I want to tell everyone to do is go to bitcointalk.org and just look at, like, the historical archives of how people figured this stuff out previously. It was clunky, the UX was awful, and for a while actually, that was like the resource for mining. And there was one guy on there that did like exploded views of all these different machines, and he stopped after a while, and he was deactivated for like 10 years. He probably won really big, congrats, but he was doing God's work. But by the way, also, your thumbnail game is insane. I hope that that's just fake. But yeah, I want to kind of go over some of the stuff that you've learned. Give us some home miner alpha, some tips and tricks, especially with like upkeep too, because a big benefit of the hosting model is that someone else is in charge of maintaining that machine for you. When it's at home, that's on you. So that and beyond that, what are some tips and tricks that you have as a home miner?
Yeah, so I do a lot of consulting on the side, just open it up on my site and everything to people stepping into the space. And those are people that need help with setting up a rig versus people that have a lot of capital that want to get into the space and just want some direction on where to start. And some people, though, are like, hey, I just bought these hydro miners and I can't run them at home. And it's like, wait, how did you get there?
There's a roadmap and you just went all the way to the end.
So a lot of times when I talk with people, even the great question of like, hey, I want to start home mining, and they may have their eye on something like a S21 or an L9 or something like that. And my first questions are like, all right, let's talk through it. You're looking to do this at home? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, let's talk through it a little bit. So first question is always, what is your electric rate? That's your biggest operating cost as a home miner, regardless of how many watts you're using. Like if it's a small one of these guys or it's a big boy.
Shout out Denver, 14 cents kilowatt hour. Woo!
And a lot of people just don't know. They're like, oh, I don't know. And they'll be like, but I just ordered my miner. And I'm like, okay.
Please know your power rate before you order.
So I'm like, hey, can you pull your electric bill? Let's do some quick math and chat through it. Only because it is so detrimental from the perspective of like, hey, you could be mining at home and be making 1/6 of what you could be hosted with somebody like Compass or whoever else. And so not only is it electric rate, but then it's like, all right, you realize you want to run this miner at home. Where are you going to do that? Oh, I'm going to put it in my basement. No, you're not. Like, hey, let's talk through this. 1, sound, your wife's going to kill you. 2, the heat, you got to find, I'll put it in my garage. Probably not. Like, let's talk through it some more. I mean, I've tried it all. I've made all the mistakes. So I chat with people through it a lot as a home miner. Now, I don't want to discourage people because like these small home miners here absolutely can run at home. It's a great introduction with a lot of these solo lottery miners. And even, great spot is like grab an S9, $50 or less off of eBay. Learn with that.
That's literally what I tell everyone to do.
S9 still makes a lot of noise. I'm still like it's not as loud as like a 19 or 21, but still makes a lot of noise. But it's great to learn from. So like you could literally spend $50 and you think it's the coolest thing in the world, and it's like tinker, absolutely tinker. The S9 you really can't get in trouble with. So
that's crazy you say that. That's literally my origin story of getting into mining. Whenever I had the idea for my show Between Two ASICs, I wanted 2 ASICs for set pieces, but it was also top of the market. So I was looking for just show pieces that I was not going to use at the top of the market when J-Pros were like $10,000 or something. And I just needed it for the looks. And so I went on eBay, and there was a listing of 2 S7s 4 terahash, and for like $40 or something like that. And I said buy it, and the guy was like, hey, if you should throw in an extra 20, I'll give you a third one. I was like, nah, just the 2 is fine. He's like, I'm gonna throw it in anyway. I was like, oh, sweet. And that's also when I learned, when I burnt my first control board too. You know how they raise the control board off the chassis? That's because metal and electricity.
It's because of you, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So that was my first failing forward. But yeah, honestly, get your hands on a piece of equipment. It does not cost much. I'm not asking you to spend, a bajillion dollars getting the latest and greatest. Like, get something that is probably broken. Just play around with it. But be careful because it gets addicting. Victim. In interrupting here, I know you were talking about different models and stuff, and this, just objectively speaking, I guess it's not objective, I guess it's subjective, but if money was not an object, what would be your number one machine that you would get right now?
That's out on the market today.
Yeah, out on the market today. Hey, shout out Proto for the modular miner.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
Yes, very cool. I've been talking with a ton of people about that tonight, which is cool, especially as US made and such. Something that's out right now that is not immersion, even though I dabble into some immersion, which is fun. Oh, I love it. It's a whole other world. But it's for those tinkerer people, 100%. Or it's not hydro because it's very out of reach, even though there are some hydro hosting. Probably an S21 XP right now, 270 terahash model, but I have been buying up a lot of S21s, which are 200 terahash, because I'm paying $2,500 for 200 terahash, and so for me, after you repaste it, it's good to go. So,
and the efficiency between the base 21 and the 21 Pro and XP is not like huge difference, is it? It's relatively.
The 21 XP definitely is significantly more advanced.
I think it's 13 and a half or
something.
Yeah,
nowadays everything's 3,500, 3,600 at the wall. But no, for me, like right now, I'm just looking for deals, and just increasing my hash rate on Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely. So the second point here, I kind of want to circle back to the comment about 16 years married. How do you manage the chaos? I know that, look, I was mining in a 900 square foot condo with my girlfriend at the time, and that made for some really fun discussions. But how do you manage it? How's the noise? How's the heat? Would you even notice when you walked into your house? What does that look like?
Yeah. Good question. So I have very much get addictive to hobbies. So I jump from one thing to the next type of deal. So my wife thought this was just going to be a short little stint of
she was mistaken.
He's on to another one. I got a few GPUs I was running in the basement, and I got some more. And by the time I was done, I was about 100 graphics cards that I was running in the basement, and it was unfinished. I ended up finishing it during COVID. Trying to build that room, that failed, and the wife was complaining about the airflow under the doors and the whistles and why are our vents sweating and stuff, and what is going on? And then when the furnace went, it was all right, the rig's got to go.
Sleep on the couch that night.
Yeah. So it was all right. So that started my journey into sheds. So it was all right, I need to get out of the house, and it was the best thing I ever did. Was get your ASICs, or mine. I didn't have any ASICs then, but my rigs out of the house.
Sorry, I want to interrupt right here just to see, where was that threshold where you realized it wasn't viable for the house anymore? I know GPUs and ASICs are differently compared.
In the basement, probably about 20 GPUs probably should have been done, but I was at 100 and was still going. We all know how that is.
Right.
It was so jankety. But I got by and did it 100%, so moving outside of the house was the biggest win. And at that point, I was really consuming a lot of content on just airflow and understanding how that works and having passive airflow. So my shed on one side is just all intake vents. It's the whole wall. It's pretty much like anyone who knows containers. The whole side of the container is all intake vents, passive airflow, allow the machines to do the work, and then exhaust on the other side. And I ran that at home, and I actually had my first S19J Pro, 104 terahash in that.
Beast of a machine.
And that was only about 3 years ago that I did that. And that was my first ASIC, full-size ASIC. And now I'm up to about 62. So addictive, remember I told you? Yeah.
Yeah, it
definitely.
is. Like, I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Be careful. It is addictive.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so it was just a learning experience kind of along the way for sure. And so my wife was good until that furnace went. And then she was like, hey,
We got to have a talk.
So I was like, all right, time for a shed. So continuing that journey.
So with the shed, did you buy a shed that was built for mining, like a container, or did you build a shed, or you have a shed and retrofit
So I'm
it?
from Pennsylvania, and going to Amish people and being like, hey, I need to build a shed.
Oh, so you had it in 30 minutes?
Oh yeah, so it was quick, but no, there was no like, hey, there's no blueprint for this stuff. You kind of figure it out as you go, and like I totally oversized my exhaust setup for this from a CFM perspective, just absolutely. And I ran a lot of GPUs in there and like server cases to get by and an ASIC in there. And then it came to a point where it was like, okay, I'm leaning into ASICs significantly more. I need more space. And so that's when I actually, funny story, as I'm doing all of this, I wasn't dabbling into the electrical side. I knew exactly what I needed, but I found an electrician locally, younger guy, and when he came out for the first time, and I was like, hey, this shed, can I get 5 30 amp 240 volt circuits? And like, I need, he's like, what are you doing in here? Like, what? And a home? And we did it. And when I went to pay him, he's like, you don't have to pay me anything. He's like, but I want you to teach me about Bitcoin. And so we've had that relationship since. And literally,
That's a sick electrician.
yep. So now oh, trust me, yeah. So
Free
that
advertisement.
was not. That didn't cost me anything except for my time. And he would come over like once a week and be like, all right, cool, let's talk about how this works and how that works. And now I expanded to I was like, hey, he's a single guy, lives by himself, always busy as an electrician, lives on the outskirts of town. And I was like, hey, can I put a shed on your property? And he's like, why don't you come over? Let's talk about it. And I come over and he's like, I got this old 15-year-old shed, 12 by 12 shed. And he's like, don't buy a new one. Like, I just parked my riding mower in there. Like, such a minimalist, like didn't have anything. And I was like, it was all vinyl. And I was like, I can work with this. So he had the pole on his property, the transformer on the pole right on his property. It worked out perfect. And the first iteration of this, him and I just trenched from his house and pulled 200 amps from his house into the shed. And that was the first iteration. So I was like, heck yeah, 200 amps.
Sick.
That didn't last a year. I was like, I want to go more. Talk about addictive, I'm telling you now. And so then I contacted the power company and was like, can I do 600 amps? And they're like, well, you can, but we got to pull from the pole and you got to trench it and you got to run it. And I'm like, whatever we got to do. And then it came into like permits and inspections, and that ended up being 400 amps to like avoid a lot of that. I was like, all right, let's just do 400 amps. So we literally brought a backhoe in. This is that same guy, and we trenched 200 feet of a 3-foot trench from the pole across the property. And we did it, and I pulled that conduit. The cable is a 350/350/40 that you need rated for. And we pulled that through 4-inch conduit by hand, 200 feet. Oh my God, my biceps were in pain. But we did it all, and this is all that doing it yourself type of deal. It was absolutely there's no manual for this stuff. I had a packet from the power company. It's like, this is what your trench needs to look like. And I'm like, all right, looks like the picture. Let's do it,
Close enough.
And yeah, so that shed is there now, has 400 amps to it. And I'm doing another one. So I'm building another shed. Fresh one on the property. We're already pulling another commercial service. Talked to the power company because I was very skeptical if they'd let me put 2 commercial services on a residential property. And I actually negotiated in Pennsylvania, your power is deregulated on the supply side. So you actually can shop your electric. And I actually found a company called Shipley that actually works closely with data centers, and they work with a very well-known power company. Some may know it, Constellation Energy. And they quoted me 7.2. And I was like, all right, let's do it. So as soon as I got that locked in for 3 years, I was like, I'm expanding. So we're doubling our size, and that is literally what I'm doing now. So I'm going to document it all over my channel and do it all over again.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to Hobbyist. I'll put his website up at the end too, but his videos it's very rare that you see a good YouTuber and Bitcoin content all in one. He's he's that guy, merging the algorithm. Like, you got the clickbaity thumbnails. I love them. I absolutely love them.
Well, sex sells, and I can't really do that, so that's what we got.
Oh, that's awesome.
So fire, burning, Bitcoin, come on now.
Yeah, I asked him for some pictures for the slides, and he just sent me like all of his thumbnails, and I was like, this guy is awesome. One other thing that I wanted to ask about on the home side of things is, what are some common issues that you see as a home miner? What's like a big red flag that you want to let someone know before they, like, we've gone over it. There's no manual. You're gonna trial and error, fail forward. But what's something that you would want past you to avoid and not go through, aside from the furnace?
Just go straight to hosting and don't even do all this stuff. The amount of money I've spent, But no, I mean, I think the big one is the biggest misconception that I find speaking with a lot of home miners. I talk with people all walks of life in my Discord community, which some of those people are here, so thank you guys for coming out. But some of that is very much the misconception of like home miners, like, cool, I got a little Bitcoin miner, when do I get rich? And it's like, that's like the hardest one to help people understand.
That forecasting.
Because from a public perspective, we only hear about the wins, right? Mm-hmm. We don't hear about like, hey, I've been mining for this long and it's taken me this long to accumulate this. And especially with Bitcoin, it's just becoming harder and harder with the difficulty, increased hash rate, everything like that. But that's where, for me, altcoins are a good avenue for me to earn cryptocurrency through mining altcoins, which are traditionally more profitable, and then flipping that to Bitcoin is really the avenue that I've gone. But yeah, I mean, I think it's just that biggest misconception that like people look at crypto mining still as like that pyramid scheme. I'm going to do it quick and I'm going to get rich. And it's like,
there's no quick about
so
mining,
especially,
guys.
Here's your warning. I get questions about this all the time about cloud mining. And they're like, hey, they said I can invest $5,000 in 3 months, it'll be 15. And it's like, no, that company won't exist in 3 months because your money's gone. So yeah, that is the biggest misconception I find with a lot of new people and home miners, is just looking for get rich quick.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, like, if you're curious about this, if you're just dabbling in, if you're wanting to expand your fleet, like, ask people, talk to people who have been there and done that, because like we've both made mistakes that we wouldn't want to go through again, and we wouldn't want someone to get turned off of the entire mining ecosystem, because it's very easily avoided. So don't be afraid to ask questions, because miners have this disease where they love talking about it, and so if you ask them, they're going to talk about it for a very long time, and you're going to get all the information you need to know. You might have to cut them off. I'm talking about myself.
I don't know what you're talking about.
But yeah, ask questions and seek people who have. The best way to go through a minefield is follow the person ahead of you. So yeah, I'm always an open book. Find me later if you want to talk. Find hobbyists. Find anyone here that is from Compass or the space that mines. And now we're going to get some groans from the crowd when we go to this slide, but we are going to talk about altcoin mining. Oh. All right, listen. Before
there's
everyone
my shed,
freaks
actually,
out,
yep.
I have clarified to him. I was like, look, I know that you're an altcoin miner. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin miner. But we're having constructive conversation, and he actually has some compelling arguments on why he does it, and also the grills are so cool. I don't know if you can see it, but
the 3D printed ones up there.
Yeah, as much as I don't like what's on them, the idea is great. I just want to make it very clear, for the audience.
I put those on there after my 3 of my shirts got sucked into those inline fans and chopped up, and I was like, all right, it's time to put a guard on these things. Yeah,
I used to have hair down past my shoulders. There's a reason I don't anymore.
Yeah, so those are, to explain real quick, so this is this shed is at the end of a residential area, and the first iteration of this, I can only run 10 full-size ASICs because they were too loud, which is why we find a lot of mining farms are in the outskirts of nowhere. And so in order to get by, I removed those fans, and there's a company that sells AC Infinity. It's an inline fan. It's like a big turbine, it looks like, puts out about 800 CFM. And then there's a company called Fruition Design that actually 3D prints with a high-test 3D print material shrouds that interface from the inline fan to your ASIC. So you're pretty much just replacing those high RPM fans with these. And so that's what I run everywhere on all my units, just from the sound perspective to get by. And I have no one can. I mean, you can probably go 30 yards from that shed, you can't even hear it.
You have videos of that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I need to find some of those.
Building
That
those
sounds
and
very
stuff.
interesting.
Yeah. There's and I went through several iterations of trying to figure that out. So now the entire shed is called a cold aisle. So like it's just pulling in the air through the filters. The shed is all, there's no heat in my shed because every ASIC buttons up to the backside and has its own dedicated exhaust duct on the top there. So I'm not managing that heat. I tried it, trust me, and it sucks. So process of elimination. So the next shed will look very similar, just be bigger.
Sweet, that's awesome. So there are other proof of work coins. We're all aware of that, ranging from forks of Bitcoin all the way to just completely different coins altogether. You have merge mining too. Do you have any preference on what you go for as far as altcoin mining? Like any coins that you prefer other than other ones, I guess?
So if you asked me like 2 years ago, my answer would definitely be different than today. So I've dabbled in the altcoin side of things, especially with ASICs. And altcoins are very much kind of the short-term game. Or they are your avenue to stack more Bitcoin long-term. So with altcoins, most people are going to, and even myself, great example, back in November, the L9 came out, which is the most powerful script miner. Script mining is the motion of mining multiple coins at once. So a very popular one is Dogecoin. Most people have heard of that. Litecoin is one that's been around for a long time. But the L9 was making me $65 a day, and an S21 was making me $10 a day. And so for me, it was like, okay, which one is more valuable, $65 or $10? Now, the big difference is, which connects me with most audiences, especially this group here, is I would just take that and flip it over to Bitcoin. So it was just a faster track to get there. Now, altcoins can be dangerous. Shannon and I were talking about this today a little bit. Whereas that altcoin or that project could be here today and gone in 2 years. No one thinks that with Bitcoin. Script mining is a little bit more secure. It's a little more mature. It's been around for a long time. The hash rate has definitely grown to support a lot of these swings. So for me, I've dabbled in a lot of other ones. There's another one up there, Caspa. That's the teal one there. I run about 165 terahash myself of Caspa miners, and Caspa's gone all different waves. Some days, some months it's not profitable. Other days it's very profitable. But I'm playing that shorter game of, hey, I'm going to stack a bunch of it. It only has to move a decimal place or two, and then it's really well, and I'll sell it and roll it into Bitcoin. So as someone who started as a GPU miner, GPUs allow you to mine a little bit of everything. Not necessarily Bitcoin, not script mining with them, but they allow you to mine a little bit of everything. So that's the world I came from, was the ability to choose what I want to mine. And that's why a lot of people, home miners, were very attracted to GPU mining back in the day, because it was like, hey, this coin's doing really well. Okay, I'm going to mine that for like a month. Or, oh, I'm going to mine this and hope it pops off. So I use it as an avenue to get over to Bitcoin for sure.
So you said that they could be dangerous, and Shannon's explained that to me as well, where, whenever machines hit mass market, that's whenever, it's saturated. You're reaching that level. So what are some lessons that you've learned from altcoin mining that are similar in vein? Like, have you had any complete disasters?
I got a great example. So, and this one includes Bitmain. So, Bitmain's still in that world. So, about a year ago, maybe a little bit more, Bitmain, there was a project called SC Prime. It's been around for a long time, through all different iterations of it. Not very popular at all. Anyways, they were releasing an ASIC. This was Bitmain, was releasing an ASIC for SC Prime. And when it dropped, I was able to get my hands on one within 2 weeks. So I literally had one on the way coming. So at that moment when they released, they were making $60 a day. By the time I got it 2 weeks later, it was making less than $6 a day. And those are the swings you talk about. How does that happen? Well, these ASICs, literally, they only made 200 of them. I don't know how this even occurred. Like, how do you get Bitmain to make only 200 ASICs? It just doesn't make sense. And the amount of hash rate, I mean, literally, it was a straight line up. The hash rate that even like 4 ASICs was more than the entire network before they even came online. It was like crazy, Absolutely crazy. And this is a great example of like how aggressive that worked. Now, is that the norm? No. Usually you have a little bit more than 2 weeks, but it can absolutely happen. And so literally now it sits at home on a shelf and does nothing because it's not worth the scrap that it's made out of.
I was gifted. I collect old ASIC miners, and I was gifted one. I can't remember what it was. Geez, I can't. It's like a Zig Z1 or something like that. The algorithm. I don't even know what the algorithm is. It was a bunch of letters and dashes, but it mined like a few coins. One of them was called Galactrum, which objectively coolest name ever. I wish that Bitcoin was called Galactrum.
You ever heard of Pirate Chain? That's
No,
a cool
I
one.
haven't.
It's a coin called R.
Oh my god.
Yep.
But whenever I was doing research on this, I had never heard of this algorithm or this manufacturer or this coin, and my friend Eli and I were looking into some of the coins that could be mined, and none of them, like one of them actually on CoinMarketCap had one of those warning messages saying that like the project was abandoned, and I'm like, oh wow, that's crazy. But yeah, that is the dangers of altcoin mining, because the immaturity of it can make or break.
Yeah, I mean,
a
if you
lot.
can get in early enough, like, hey, I always tell people, like, first batch is huge. You'll definitely make your money back for it. But after that, it's a gamble. Like, great example, like, some of these teal ones here, some of them are made by Bitmain. It's called a KS5 Pro. When they first came out, I think this was like 1 or 2 mining disrupt events ago, they were $4,500. And I bought like a show, like on the floor model and shipped it back. Jump a year later, and people were approaching me to buy that from them for like $400 because it was literally like making, and it was just barely was making anything. They couldn't run it home, so I bought them up because I was like $400. Like heck yeah, absolutely will. Still run them, still stacking that crypto. Is it? I'm once again waiting for that decimal point, and it may never happen. It's 100% a gamble play, but I always view not only my crypto portfolio, but even the miners that I'm running. I look at it from a different perspective. Like, here's my conservative play. Here's my long-term play. That's Bitcoin. Okay, I got my Bitcoin miners. Here's, kind of mid. That's like my script miners, Dogecoin, stuff like that. And then, the aggressive side. So, like, I play the whole gambit, just like I would with a portfolio, just like with my miners. So, like, I know, like, those Caspa miners may never be as profitable as I want them to be. But that's my aggressive play. But if they are, then it pays off tremendously.
Mm. And also, I want to make it super clear to everyone, being the first to get that first batch, as a retail customer, it's like, just be careful. It's very rare to pick that up and win on that just by yourself. So I just want to heed my warning. Just do your research for sure. Because, I mean, I also, we won't go down that route. So how is hobby or home mining going to fit into the landscape of crypto in the future? Like, are we going to see more proof of work coins emerge that people are going to be mining, or are we going to see expansions of previous proof of work coins? Is it all going to go back to Bitcoin? What do you see in the future for just broader crypto mining?
Yeah, so home mining has definitely suffered over the last like 2 to 3 years because of the increase in electric rates within the US has definitely been a big challenge for it. Plus the fact of just going through a bear market and the profitability being there. So home mining is a challenge now because it's, what do you mine, right? Are you gonna buy a full-size ASIC and run that at home with high electric? And the answer is no. Most people aren't going to be in the world that I'm in that regard. So a lot of home miners are looking for avenues. And so what I see a lot of is there's a whole separate world called DePIN. Decentralized, pretty much infrastructure is what it is, that some people have gotten into as home miners. And great example of like what that would be is a lot of that is like antenna based. So I love this one, my kids love this one. It's called Wingbits. You put a little antenna on your home, small little device, and it tracks aircraft. You can literally go on their website, see your unit, it tracks aircraft, all the data, you can see every commercial flight, and then that data is resold. And you're paid out in that cryptocurrency called Wings, and you can always roll that up into Bitcoin if you want to. But that's the type of stuff that I'm seeing more and more home miners doing, where it's like, okay, that's a cool project. It has real world application.
More of a use case.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is something that a lot of these technology-based projects are connecting with blockchain and rewarding operators, so you'd be an operator at home, to run those types of things. And those are becoming very, like, my channel is all about diversification. It's not just ASICs, it's not just GPUs, it's also those types of projects as well. And there's all different stuff out there in that regard. But when those things use 10 to 20 watts, you don't care what your electric rate is. They're barely using anything. And so that is something that I'm seeing more and more home miners go the route. Or you're going with Bitcoin lottery miners, which are like, hey, they're solo Bitcoin miners. They're fun. Is there a chance you could hit a Bitcoin block? Absolutely. But there's also a chance you'll run this for 100 years and not hit a block ever. But that's where I'm seeing more and more home miners get into that space. And there is also then the tinkerer side of home mining where people are finding creative avenues to repurpose heat. So they may take a miner like this, get it down to one hash board and do a conversion kit for like 120 volt. And like I'm doing that this fall, I'm gonna cut a hole into my return duct. Yes, that same furnace, and pipe heat from an S19K Pro into my return duct to heat my house through those traditional methods. I've heated my house over the years, but just placed miners throughout it. But going that route for sure. But people they'll use them for heating greenhouses or all different types of creative, or heating garages and things like that. So you can get creative with it for sure.
Real quick, I have somewhere I'm going with this. Whose first time at the space is it? I know there. Oh wow, there's a ton of first timers.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. First of all, thank y'all for coming and welcome to the space. But I was telling him last night, we hosted our first Undermine Summit in February here, and it's this basically a small scale, intimate conference about heat reuse. And it was one of the most fun things that I have ever been a part of. We had several people here with a bunch of their Tinker Toy miners, and we had a guy who brought cowboy hot tubs that were heated with two S19s that were being run in immersion. And it was so cool because there was snow on the ground, but that water in all three hot tubs from two of these was maintaining over 110 Fahrenheit. So be sure to follow the space, Space Denver on Twitter and Noster to get more information about the next Undermine Summit, because I am still counting down the days and we don't even have a date yet. Curtis, what's up?
Hey, are you taking questions yet?
Not yet, almost.
Okay.
Hold your horses. All right, I'm just kidding. I love Curtis. Everyone give it up for Curtis. He's the reason that we're here. Yeah.
I met someone earlier tonight here who runs a grow operation. How do you layer in Bitcoin mining with that? How can putting in some basics?
I love this question because I've been looking at doing this locally. So there's a bunch.
Oh wait, real quick, just to restate it for the online audience, he's asking how grow operations, how ASIC mining and heat reuse can go integrate with grow operations.
Growing tomatoes, of course.
Yes,
of
tomatoes.
course. So
in
like
Denver, Colorado.
So when you start to get into this world like I have, every time I see a shed, I'm like, oh, I wonder how good that would be with mining. You know, you
I
start
do
to
the
think
same
that-
thing. It's a disease, man.
And in the area that I'm in central Pennsylvania, a lot of the grow tents or type of what am I thinking here? What was the question you asked? Greenhouse. Thank you. I'm like, where did my brain go? We're talking about sheds. There's a lot of greenhouses, so there are so many times where I'm like, I need to stop and talk with them and be like, what are you guys paying for electric? Like, how are you heating your greenhouses? Because we get all the seasons in Pennsylvania, and there's been a number of articles I've seen where people have gone in and installed full-size ASICs into these greenhouses with the inline fan systems I have, because people need to work in there, and they heat those entirely with Bitcoin miners. Just literally setting a platform up and running it, pulling air from outside in, goes through the ASIC, and then gets pumped in, and they'll put one in each corner and just heat it entirely. And so, yes, it is something that's been on my mind when I'm like, okay, when I can't expand anymore, I'm going to start doing it at other places. And this is a fad that is, you end up becoming an operator, and this has become very big of like, where can I put these miners, Bitcoin miners, deep pin miners, whatever, and it benefits someone else through it. So the heat is a great example with that for sure.
Yeah, and I'm not too well versed on growing tomatoes, but I've heard of a lot of people using heat from Bitcoin miners for that purpose, and I don't know where that falls into the cycle, but I know a guy up in Ned who literally has miners that are just going in one room, and then whenever it's time for it to dry, I don't know, the tomatoes, he ducks it over to his.
You're so proper. Aren't we in Colorado?
Yeah, we're in Colorado. But he ducks it to his main flower room, and it's super cool. He doesn't even. I think that he cares more about the byproduct of that heat than he does about the actual Bitcoin. So there's a lot of implementations with that, and around here you'll see a book, Bitcoin Mining Heat Reuse, is a Red Brains book. We keep telling Tyler to get them out of here, but we still find them. But no, it's a great book. I highly recommend it. But yeah, we're about to move. I'm trying to keep up with time too. About to move into Q&A, but before we do that, I gotta dictate how this is going to work. But before I dictate that, everyone hold up your raffle ticket.
Oh.
See, okay, this is where I was just going to see and make
Come on,
sure
get
that.
up here.
Yeah. I just want to make sure that everyone, while we're asking questions, Lior's going to walk around and give raffle tickets out. So, and be honest, I will hit you if you're not.
Can you take a picture of him and I up here?
Oh yeah, I need this. This is going to look great on LinkedIn. Are we doing? Actually,
You gotta pay for that.
We're going to have this really deep conversation right
make
now.
it look like it? Are you taking a picture?
Yeah, and we're going over this Bitcoin mining and a bunch of other stuff.
Make sure you take it the other way.
Yeah. Good. But yeah, also, but for Q&A, if you have a question, raise your hand and you'll ask it, but I'll restate it just for the live stream. Everyone say hey to the live stream. Everyone watching,
hi,
hello live stream. We love you, but you can't win any of the miners. You should come next month so you can win. Yeah, we'll open it up now while y'all are getting tickets. Anyone have any questions? What's up? Oh.
335 people watching live online.
Hey,
Nice.
335 people. What's up? I think my dad's one of those. Hey, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
Miss you.
All right, so you had a question in the back here?
What software, if any, are you using to monitor every miner?
Great question.
And keep track of what's
Yep.
making money, what's to turn on, what's to turn off, and all that?
Yeah,
So miner management software.
Yes.
I'm curious about that too, especially across your different machines, because I'm obviously only familiar with management software for Bitcoin miners.
Yep.
Do those integrate with other nodes?
Yeah, so anything that is hosted uses a platform traditionally called Foreman, which I have access to at most of my sites. That gives me that access to change mining pools, monitor them, uptime, stuff like that. On top of that, for my local stuff that we talked about here earlier, Hive makes a great product called ASIC Hub. It's entirely free. It's very easy to install. And you can find tutorials on my channel. The nice thing is you can monitor everything, how's it going. I can even bring it up on my phone on the app. And you can set things called watchdogs. So on every miner, I can say, hey, like this miner here is 90 terahash. I can say, when this falls below 85 terahash, reboot it. And or notify me. So it'll shoot me a message to let me know. So every time one of my miners is rebooted, I get a message. And it's just the watchdog looking out for it. It happens. Miners, they run into an issue, something happens, quick power surge, which that's awesome. That's been great. Like if I get a power surge, miners hate power surges, like entirely. They almost always need to be rebooted. And literally you can say like, hey, when it drops below this and it's that way for like 20 minutes or 30 minutes, reboot it. So that's a great software of how I'm doing it. So that's really from the monitoring side of the world. I literally have a checklist I go through every day to check mostly pool side. So I'm looking at all the different pools that I'm in to be like, okay, these miners are up, how we're doing. We have the miners I expect, the hash rate I expect. Just because of all the different projects I'm in and stuff like that. I mean, somebody we were talking about earlier of like, we're wallets. I'm still into 80 different cryptocurrencies. And that's just because I started with GPUs and I held on to these hoping they pop off and they never do. So now it's like, hey, it's not a loss till you sell it, all right? So, it's still sitting there.
Yeah, Foreman is really good for all sorts of scales. I've used it for entire facilities, and also I've used it for my small home setup of a handful of miners, even like S9s, and it's all integrated. All the models are, and so they know it knows what it's looking for. And there's also some customization. There's different little quirks with each one, and it's kind of just what's right for you. I really enjoy Foreman, but yeah, there's plenty that you can experiment with.
Great question.
Great question. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up? Are you solo mining or are you pool mining?
Of course I'm solo mining. Honestly,
Wait, hold on. Tell us about your hotel. I saw your tweet.
Oh yeah, so
yesterday.
I brought these along, and if you're a miner, you're going to plug them in anywhere you can, and there's free power in the hotel room. So I plugged them in and ran it on Twitter, and a whole bunch of people posted on Twitter. I said, hey, post your address, and I'll pick one of you. Pick somebody, and they were mining on their wallet from the hotel room for free, which was
Imagine
awesome.
if that hit a block. That would have been. You wouldn't be here right now. You'd be
It wasn't my wallet. It wasn't my
you're right.
wallet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You're just gonna be angry here.
But no, getting back to your question, I think every single person should have one solo miner. It is a never-ending lottery ticket that costs you a one-time purchase and you're done. I am not yet, but and the reason I'm hesitant is because I know a guy. Of course, everyone knows a guy, right? Knows a guy who had multiple solo miners at home, ran his own node, and his miners said he hit a block. You'd be excited as hell if that happened to you. But something was goofed up with his node, and the block got abandoned, and he lost it. I don't want that to be me, so I'm like, hey, I'll pay a small percent over
I'm
that.
so curious as to
pool.
what happened there.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit like, that's like going down that technical rabbit
Yeah.
hole where I'm like, hey, there's people.
We took that out of the name.
Yeah, so to answer your question though, yeah, I think every single person should have one solo miner, even something like this guy over here that's only 1 terahash.
And a couple of y'all might be going home with them tonight. All right. Yeah, great question. Yeah, I tend to agree. If you're able to have a miner that is not going to just like extremely inflate your power costs, and you can like where you barely
This is
notice
10 watts, the one
yeah,
on the left.
like that, you're never going to really notice that on your
Nope.
power bill. But like, I'm not going to get an S21 XP and plug that in just solo mining.
Dude, people go down the route, like solo mining is a whole other world. Like people go down the route, they'll set up their own like DIY from like Harbor Freight, like solar panels, and they'll run these off of like solar panels at home, and like they get really into it. They buy more solo miners. I mean, if you're into it and you're like, I'm probably not ever going to hit a block, but like this is fun. Like that's what I always tell people. Yep. Yep. Yeah, so he's asking about nodes. If you guys aren't familiar, so when you're mining, you're mining to a node. It might not be at home. You're mining to a node or a pool, which is the same thing. And there's a value to be solo mining to your own node because the latency, the time between your device and that node, is very important when it comes down to solo mining. And so if you can run a node at home, small little box, usually traditionally, that latency is close to nothing, which means it increases your chances to hit a block. So that's why a lot of people will do that. And there's even, I can't remember the name of the company, they actually sell a solo miner that also is... FutureBit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they're always sold out. So, but yes. But yeah, it's a node and a miner built into one box, which is a great avenue to go.
Yeah, and I had a thought and it left me. Oh well. Yeah, the solo and pool, like, it's also fun to experiment with pools too. Like you're gonna see different payouts per pool. No matter you can have the same machine mine for a week on F2 pool and then on Luxor and then on Brains, and you would see vastly different results. And then you do the same experiment again and see even more vastly different results. And it's really just kind of like you kind of learn as you go, and that's the beauty of mining. You can choose how you want to mine with your equipment. But I think that we're seeing a home mining renaissance right now, which I'm really excited about. I mean, we have historically had these little USB gimmick miners for a while, and then about a year ago, I think the NerdX, or not NerdX, but
The
the Nerd Miner. The Nerd Miner was,
okay.
and that was like really small. And then BitX came around, and BitX has kind of evolved, and now we're seeing, Canaan, who invented the ASIC Bitcoin miner, they're making home miners that are new. Like now it's not like, hey, let me get an S9 that was, several years old, and, plug that in. But they're like, hey, you want a baseboard heater? We have that mines Bitcoin, stuff
The
like
Mini
that.
3.
Yeah,
That's what it's
yeah,
called,
I'm
yep.
super excited. I got to see one broken down recently, and it's weird. It's long. It's super cool though. But yeah, we're in a solo/home mining renaissance right now, and I think that we have a great community that is building that out too. So, any other questions? What's up?
I DCA Bitcoin like weekly.
Mhm.
And is there a way to make a determination if I would have a greater return via DCA to buying it?
Oh, yeah.
Hosting? Where I can, is there a threshold I need to cross? And how do I make that assessment?
There's always going to be, so he's asking about DCAing versus mining. It's both are kind of mining in a sense is kind of like a DCA with a little more bells and whistles. But every cycle, there's always going to be a question of is it more valuable for me to smash buy right now? Is it more valuable for me to DCA over the course of a month, or is it more valuable for me to mine? And then mining, do I need to do it at home? Do I need to host? There's always going to be these variables, and it's really just something you need to kind of just look at the landscape and see. Like there's several profitability calculators. One of my favorite ones is Brains offers one that you can put a number of variables from your capex to your opex to how much hash rate you have, and you can look at the future for up to like 48 months or something like that. And of course, it's not going to be 100% accurate because it is random. But then also, so is the Bitcoin price. So you DCAing, $10 a week or something like that could be the worst decision you've ever made. If mining would get you, 25 a week or something like that. But it's always would have, could have, should have, I think. But there are ways to kind of gauge that with profitability calculators.
I want to jump in a little bit there on the DCA thing real quick because I love when people talk about DCAing with like buying Bitcoin. And I'm a miner. So I'm DCAing every single day. So what a lot of people don't think about is the fact of you buy a miner, you spend, let's say $6,000, right? And well, now you can write that off entirely from a business perspective, especially with the latest legislation. You can write that off in your first year, the entire worth of it, which I love it. You used to have to depreciate it, but you can write that off entirely. So you set up a little LLC, you buy that miner, you write that off right away. The second thing is you're DCAing every single day. You're earning a little bit of Bitcoin every single day, right? Awesome. But what a lot of people don't think about, where they're just like, I'm just going to buy Bitcoin every day or every week, whatever, is your miner is an asset that you can resell. No one ever thinks of that. They're like, oh crap. So that's what sets it very different. Your miner, let's say you run your miner for a year or 2 years and you resell it. So you bought it for $6,000, and in a few years you can resell it for, let's say, $4,000. Let's say you resold it, you made your money from it. That's what you don't get with buying Bitcoin every day. You can't there's nothing to resell, right? You're just doing that transaction on an exchange. So I love DCAing, and I'm glad to hear people are doing it, but like take that step, get that miner, because there's so much you can do with that.
Yeah, and the first thing that I thought about whenever I started mining was I kind of wanted a faucet a little bit, just a little sat drip, kind of my DCAing. And so yeah, there's plenty of different ways to look at it. That was a great question. I see we are getting close to time.
You had one too, right?
Yeah, I wanted to get one more question before we moved on.
Yeah, so on a commercial level, let's say scaling up, if you have 10 units to the work of art in that picture there, what does maintenance look like on something like that for, scaling up to that size, downtime, repairs and stuff like that? Let's say you have it ideally set up where you're venting and stuff like that. What does that look like?
Yeah, both of us.
A full-time job.
Yeah, both of us have been on in different facilities, and we've seen it from one end of the spectrum to the other. And by the way, live stream question was about maintenance for scaling, but it is a full-time job once you get to a certain point. There's also like if you have a handful, it's usually pretty manageable if you're around that 10, 15 range.
Let me jump in real quick
yeah.
though. So I have 62 units, right? 30 of them are hosted, about 32 I'm running myself. And I only out of 62, I probably have 3 that are out for repair at all times. So like hardware breaks, they're getting shipped out. I mean, I got an L7 out for repair. I got a K7, I got S19K Pro. They're all out for repair, and it's usually hashboard. But just like I got a chance to see today at Compass facility, like you're constantly running into situations where like a power supply goes bad. All right, great, I'm replacing the power supply. Or hey, control board or a ribbon cable or whatever it may be. So like not only are you like running, like I'm running these things, but I have stock of all this hardware so that I can cut down on it. And it doesn't take long. It's like 10 minutes to swap these things out. But that's just me. And I'm only running like 32 versus like, and then 62 total. But like imagine at a scale like that. And that's why like these locations exist, and you have boots on the ground operators that are doing a lot of that stuff and swapping it out. So it is, you have units down, that's lost hash rate, that's lost money, but you're constantly babysitting them for sure. So yes, it is. When I go home, I guarantee you I will have a unit that is like having an issue, and it's like, all right, we're stripping this thing down, taking it apart, you know, throwing
It's
it
always
Hail Mary.
something.
Or like we were talking today, like I have 3 S21s I have to repaste because they're overheating. That happens as well as thermal paste breaks down. So it is, but there's no manual for this. You just learn as you go, right? So yeah, it is a lot of work. It is, ASICs are not set it and forget it as much as we want to think.
Yeah, yeah. The biggest misconception is, oh, it's a computer I plug in and make money. No, it's not. Sweet, thank y'all for that Q&A. I'm going to cut it off right there just so we can be respectful of time.
Ask me any questions afterwards, by the way.
Yeah,
If you think of anything.
we do have the building till 9, so we still have close to an hour left where we'll be mingling. There might still be some food over there. Hey, shout out to the steak bites. Am I right, guys? I requested those.
They were good.
We'll get to that shout out in a little bit, but wanted to shout out some of the space events that are happening between now and our next meetup next month. So all you first timers, look up here, and you can also find us at denver.space. That's going to have our event calendar. But in order, it's kind of small on my screen. We have the Art and Bitcoin Mixer next Wednesday. All of this art is fairly new, and yes, those are 3 real Banksies in there with a cardboard. But we're going to have our first kind of mixer with the Rhino Art District. And there's going to be a lot of people here and looking at all this art. Also, all this art is for sale too at scarce.city. You should be able to find it from there. If you have any questions, let me know. And then we also have the Sound Money, Sound Health, HSA. That's happening on Sunday, August 24th. And then CASA is another founding sponsor of the space, is having a community night and a happy hour on the 26th. And then we have Bit Devs. Someone was asking about Hunter Beast. He puts that on. He couldn't be here tonight, but one of the most brilliant guys that I know. I need a Hunter translator, though, because everything he says, whoop. But Bit Devs is super fun. Bitcoin and Beer at the Art of Freedom Gallery.
I want to be at that one.
Friday, September 5th, we're going to have a little happy hour here. And also, the Compass crew is going to be coming over. We have a regional meetup. This is the first time that anyone else from the space is hearing that. And then also Women in Bitcoin. We have that every month, and that's going to be on September 9th. So any ladies in your lives, as you can tell, there's a lot of men here, but we do have programming specifically for women and how they can get integrated into space specifically. And then there is another slide here, but it's member exclusive events, which you can go to if you become a member of the space. But member private event, the luncheon with Jameson Lopp, that's in tandem with the CASA happy hour. And then he's a founder. You've probably seen him, bald guy, big beard, really scary looking. And then we also have the Gridless private event, Q&A with the CEO, Eric Hersman, super cool guy. He's doing off-grid mining in Africa, and he's taught me a lot about mining in Africa, and I think it's super cool. It's literally bringing electricity to entire villages that otherwise wouldn't have it. But you can't come to those unless you're a member, so sign up. Super fun. And then also, never mind, I didn't grab any Shaw Maries, sorry. shout out to Easy Entrees. They provide the food, the best meetup food in the game. And I'm sorry if this is your first time. The bar is set way too high. Next meetup you go to and you have some really bad pizza, just tell them the space does it better. But we love Easy Entrees. We love their food. It's so good. And if you want to learn more about mining or you want to start mining, Compass Mining is your one-stop shop. We have several machines that we have new and used machines. People resell them on our marketplace, and this is what a screenshot is. People can sometimes they're just trying to offload them, and you can get one for $1.
That is a
sometimes.
really good price, by the way, for an L7.
Yeah. There's some really good. Like I didn't take a screenshot of it, but at the very bottom there was a couple that were going for $1. So yeah, definitely check out compassmining.io. Go to our hardware page. And if you have any questions, look for someone with the logo on their shirt, like me. And I'm more than happy to talk to you as well. I did not finish this slide. I thought I did, but next month we are. There was supposed to be a lot more on there. Sorry, Curtis. This is embarrassing. But sorry. No, Heather. Yeah, Heather's. She works with us with Compass and CM Global Services, and she'll be moderating with me with someone from Print Crypto. And that's going to be a really fun discussion. I love having Heather here. She's super fun to talk to. Wait, what's this? Giveaway? Are you serious? Oh, it's time. Congrats to all our winners.
Thank you, guys.
You all so much for being here. This was a blast. Like I said, we got about 45 minutes to kind of mingle if y'all want to go over there and network. And yeah, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Oh man, I forgot to add music. We need music right here. I'm gonna play y'all out.